Hello, everybody. Welcome to Perspectives. I'm your host, Sam Jones, and my first guest today is retired Marine Corps Major General John H. Admire. Major, it's good to have, Major General, if you will, it's good to have you here.
Thank you, sir. I somewhat feel I'm back home. I grew up a portion of my life here in Claremore because my great-grandparents, Papa and Mama Ray, lived over on 4th and Cheyenne, so I was up here quite often.
So you know the lay of the land.
I know the lay of the land, plus we used to do a lot of dove hunting on the road up to Oologah and the road to Pryor. I had relatives that lived out there, so a lot of rabbit and squirrel hunting.
And a lot of pheasant.
And a lot of pheasant. But in those days, we didn't have to, it was just mostly squirrel and rabbit for us. But you're right, it's good hunting in this area, at least in those days.
Well, Sergeant Yark used to say that the best pheasant hunting in the world is parts of Kansas and all of Oklahoma.
I agree exactly. In fact, I was just in Kansas last week. Spent 4 days with some Marine friends that I know up in that area.
Well, it's good that you could take time to visit with us. We want to talk a little bit, and we have a picture of the book that you've written.
Yes, sir.
Darker Than Dark.
So,
What's it about?
well, it's about 4 young Marines and their quest for survival. That's what war is all about. Mm-hmm. When you are a participant and a combatant, you simply want to survive and accomplish your missions, of course, which is always the first priority of any Marine. But it's about their quest for survival, and it's about a 1-year tour, basically from the summer of 1966 to the summer of 1967, the early part of the war, up in the I Corps, which is the Northern Corps near the DMZ, the militarized zone.
You've served other areas too, and I don't mean to cast any dispersions on that, but I mean, you've been all over the world.
Well, I've been blessed with the opportunity to travel a good bit. I've been to 97 different countries, and to me, travel is an education. I've learned something from just the geography, mostly just from simply the people themselves. Absolutely love the opportunity to travel and experience things that otherwise I would have never seen or never had the opportunity to do.
In that moment, just before you drift off to sleep, what comes back and sits on your pillow about your travels more than anything else?
Oh, nowadays, I guess I'm more concerned with the present than the past. I'm just praying that somehow our country and somehow the world gets over the bitterness and the lack of civility and the animosity that seems to exist in far too many places, whether it's Russia and Ukraine, or whether it's Gaza and Israel, or whether it's in our own capital, that we cannot these days come to grips with signing a budget and moving on with our government. I mean, we're poised, I think, to accomplish great things in our nation. But first, we've got to overcome a couple of obstacles before we can move on.
It would be nice to have the House and Senate get back together.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we as American people, we expect it and we demand it. And the fact that they are, the rivalry between two political parties, to me, is not justification for what we're doing to the American people.
Have you given any thought to putting your creative talents to work and giving us, and I mean all of us, a book about you?
Well, I'm not sure that there'd be many readers to that particular book.
Well, I disagree with
I mean,
that.
The book that I wrote was an absolute challenge for me, but yet the rewards were tremendous. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I just never had the time to do it, or felt like I had the time to do it. With my career, of course, some days were 12-hour days, 7 days a week sometimes, but I was blessed with the opportunity to recently have the time, because at the time we were stationed in Virginia Beach. Actually, I've retired, but we were in Virginia Beach, and my daughter received a soccer scholarship to University of Tulsa. So as a single parent dad, I thought, why should I remain in Virginia if she's in my hometown? So we both packed up and moved. But once she started college and living in the dorm, I was lost. She had been my life for years. Soccer and swimming, I mean, she was a great little athlete, national champion swimmer, consistent star in soccer. And so that's when I finally had time, and I said, okay, this is the time to write the book, and I did. And surprisingly, I did it in 6 months. I thought it would take years.
Another Marine friend of mine that you'll probably know the name, Michael Wallace, who is a writer that
Yes,
lives
sir.
here. And Michael and I are together frequently, and it's always intriguing to me. He has, where he and his wife Suzanne live, is like an apartment in a large building. But then he has another apartment in that same building, and it's his writer's lair.
Yes, sir.
And in it, I've been privileged to see the interior. In it, there's a knife that he found and some silverware where the Donners were.
Yes, sir.
There's a spur from the very, very ground that Billy the Kid walked in. All these items that he uses, that he has with him, and of course his cat. And he's in there, for hours on end. And he tells me, yeah, it's real easy to write a book. All you got to do is sit down and open a vein. And that's a true story.
There is definite truth to that. And I was somewhat clueless on how to write a book, much less how to market a book, much less how to publish a book. But typical Marine, I just started writing. I mean, the hardest part is putting your butt in that chair and your fingers on that keyboard and then start going.
And open a vein.
And I thought that I would never be able to write 400 pages. Well, I wrote the first draft. It was over 900 pages. And I realized, oops, I got to go back and seriously edit this. But my process was drastically different from what I had been taught or what I had read about how to write a book. People would say, write your book and then go back and edit it. But I would write in the afternoon, think about it at that night, going to bed, and then the next morning, I would go back and edit what I had written. So I'd spend a half a day almost just re-editing, rewriting that particular chapter. And then I'd start another chapter in the afternoon, and I repeated that cycle. Of course, when I finished, I must have went through it 10 different times, editing for grammar, then for spelling, then for continuity, then for characters, so on and so forth. And I like to say I've never written a single word. I've rewritten a lot of words over time, however.
If you could go back, and you've got 4 master's degrees
Yes, sir.
that you earned over time, obviously. But if you could go back a little bit in time to the point where you actually retired from the Corps, do you think it might have been possible for you to have been a writer, to go from, I mean, it's such a, I find it so amazing. You were a Marine, you mustered out, and you became a writer. Has that sunk in?
It has. It really has. In fact, I've spoken at the University of Oklahoma on this a number of times at journalism classes, mass communication classes down there. But after my first few years in the Marine Corps, excuse me, 3 of the first 5 years I spent in the Marine Corps, I spent in combat in Vietnam, 3 different tours. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I wondered, what is the utility of a journalism degree? All I'm doing is fighting in wars and battles. What's the utility of a degree? But over time, as my career progressed, I realized it's probably the most significant and, for me, important degree I could have, because the ability to communicate, whether it's reading, whether it's writing, whether it's speaking or probably most important, listening. It's one we kind of forget the most often, but it's the most critical form of communications is listening, attentively listening. I think has been a true asset to my career. I can't think of any other career that would have been, or any other degree that it would serve me better throughout my career.
We've got about 30 seconds. Your daughter was quite an achiever as well,
Yes.
or is quite an achiever. She went off to med school,
Yes, sir.
came back.
Came back to Tulsa, which was a blessing to me.
Exactly.
She had other options, but she came back, and after graduating from TU, went to Penn State University College of Medicine, came back here to practice, and a neurosurgical associate, and then 3 years later married a fourth-generation farmer rancher up in Blue Jacket, Oklahoma,
Very happy.
and has embraced that life like no other. It's absolutely phenomenal.
We're out of time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for sharing a little bit about you with us.
Thank you,
And
sir.
please consider a book about yourself.
I will-
There are folks out there who would give anything to be able to.
I might be a one-trick pony, but I'll give it some thoughts
Well,
when it comes to
You
writing.
never know. That
You
trick
never
may
know.
be cranking out books.
You never know. Yes, sir.
We're all out of time. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more right after this.